Far away in the deep cold space, beyond the light of any known star, there moved a silent ship. It was an alien research vessel named Virion, a long silver shape sliding through the darkness like a ghost. Inside the ship, the crew of strange beings worked without emotion, scanning the empty universe for signs of intelligent life. For centuries, they had traveled from system to system, listening to the noise of dying planets and empty worlds. They had never found a race that was truly different, truly special. Until one quiet moment, something unexpected happened. A signal appeared on their sensors, soft but strong, coming from a small blue world orbiting a yellow star. At first, the crew thought it was background noise, the normal chaos of space, but as the computers decoded it, strange sounds began to echo through the ship. Music, voices, and something even stranger, laughter mixed with crying. Commander Zaroth, the tall leader of the Virion, turned his sharp glowing eyes toward the sound. "What is that?" he asked, his voice calm but curious. The science officer, Rin, adjusted the frequencies. "It is not one signal," she said slowly. "It is many, millions of signals, all mixed together." The crew listened in silence. They heard drums and songs, gunfire and speeches, radio calls and movie lines. It was chaos, yet it had rhythm. "Impossible," one of the engineers whispered. "No single species could create this much variety." But Rin shook her head. "It all comes from one planet," she said. "From a place called Earth." The word Earth echoed across the control room. The planet was small, covered mostly by water, and its people called themselves humans. For the aliens, it was just another target to study. But something about the signal felt different. Alive, emotional, full of both peace and pain. Commander Zaroth ordered the ship to move closer. "Let us see these humans," he said, "and learn what they truly are." As the ship drifted closer to the solar system, the signal grew stronger. They could now see pictures through intercepted transmissions. Faces, cities, wars, celebrations. The aliens saw humans dancing under lights, building tall towers, exploring oceans and skies. But they also saw destruction, smoke, weapons, explosions, and people crying over lost ones. Rin could not understand it. How can one race be both beautiful and cruel at the same time? She asked. Zaroth replied coldly. "Because they are unbalanced, they will destroy themselves soon, just like others before them." But Rin wasn't sure. There was something in the human eyes, a light that did not die even in their worst moments. Later, when most of the crew went to rest, Rin stayed in the observation room. She watched more transmissions, human movies, news reports, old songs. She saw humans helping each other after disasters. She saw them sacrificing their lives to save others. She heard words like love, freedom, hope, and home. She whispered to herself, "They feel too much. They dream too much." For the first time in her life, Rin felt something like emotion. The next day, Zaroth called a meeting. He stood tall at the center of the command deck, holograms of Earth spinning slowly around him. "This planet is dangerous," he said. "They build weapons faster than they learn peace. Their emotions make them unstable." Rin spoke softly. "But maybe that is their strength." The room fell silent. The commander turned his glowing eyes toward her. "Explain," he said. Rin hesitated. "They are afraid, but they still create beauty. They destroy, but they also rebuild. They fight, but they love too." Zaroth frowned. "Such contradiction cannot survive long." But Rin whispered, "Maybe contradiction is what keeps them alive." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Zaroth ordered, "Prepare for close observation. We will enter their system quietly. The humans must not see us." The Virion moved behind the dark side of the moon, invisible to human eyes. From there, they began to watch Earth in secret. They saw rain falling on green forests, waves crashing on beaches, people laughing under city lights. They heard children singing, soldiers shouting, and lovers promising forever. Each sound, each picture, told a story, and a story of chaos and courage. Rin watched and wondered if humans even knew they were being seen. One night, the strange signal changed. It became a single broadcast. A human voice speaking in calm words. "This is humanity," the voice said. "We are not perfect, but we dream. We hope. We rise again." The entire crew listened in silence. No one spoke, not even Zaroth, when the message ended. The commander looked at the planet and said quietly, "They are dangerous, but not in the way I thought." Rin looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "Maybe they are not dangerous at all," she said. Maybe they are a warning, or a gift. The commander did not answer. Outside, the blue planet kept shining in the darkness, small and fragile, yet strangely powerful. As the ship drifted silently around the moon, the aliens watched the world below and felt something they could not name. For the first time in their long lives, they were not just observing, they were feeling. They did not know that this moment, this small discovery, would change the universe forever. The alien ship Virion floated quietly behind the moon. Hidden from all human eyes, its silver body reflected no light, and its engines were silent like a sleeping beast. From this shadowed place, the crew began their secret study of Earth. Cameras, scanners, and energy sensors pointed toward the blue planet, recording everything, every signal, every movement, every heartbeat of life inside the control chamber. Rin watched the holographic screens with wide, curious eyes. The images of humans filled the room, people walking, laughing, crying, running, building, destroying. It was a world of noise and emotion. For the aliens who lived with calm and logic, this was something completely new, Rin whispered. They are never still, never quiet. Their energy never stops. Commander Zeroth crossed his arms. That is what makes them unstable, he said. They cannot find balance. Hours turned into days as the Virion observed. The crew divided their studies. Some watched cities. Some studied oceans. Others listened to human communication. The data was endless. They saw children playing in parks, and soldiers marching into wars. They saw kindness and cruelty in the same place. The alien scientists could not understand. How can they love and hate within the same moment? One asked. Another replied, maybe their hearts are confused. But Rin didn't agree. She watched a video of a small village hit by a storm. People had lost everything, yet they helped each other. Shared food, rebuilt their homes. She felt something warm inside. Something the aliens had no word for. She whispered softly, maybe they are not confused. Maybe they are complete. Later that day, Rin brought her report to Commander Zeroth. He stood near the large viewing window, looking down at Earth, his expression unreadable. Commander, Rin said, holding her holographic tablet, I have studied their emotional patterns. Their strength is not in technology, it is in spirit. Zeroth turned slowly, his cold voice echoing, spirit is weakness. Emotion clouds reason. Rin met his gaze. But emotion also gives them power. When they fall, they rise. When they break, they heal. That is something no logic can do. Zeroth said nothing for a while, only looking at the spinning blue planet below. Finally, he said, keep watching them, Rin, but remember, they are not like us. They are dangerous. The ship's observation decks glowed with new data. They studied human wars and peace, science and religion, laughter and sorrow. Every hour brought something new, something strange. Once, they saw a human scientist stare at the night sky through a telescope, writing notes and smiling. Another time, they saw a man crying beside a grave, whispering to the wind as if it could hear him. These scenes confused the crew. Why do they speak to the dead? Asked one alien. Rin replied quietly, because they still hope even when hope is gone. Days passed, and the more they watched, the more questions grew. The aliens began to argue among themselves. Some said humans were too emotional and must be left alone. Others said humans would soon become a threat to the galaxy. Zeroth listened to all opinions but made no decision. He only said, observation first, judgment later. One night, as the planet turned below them, Rin noticed something new, a light, a small, bright object leaving Earth's surface and entering space. She zoomed in and realized it was a human satellite. The humans were sending machines into the stars, trying to reach beyond their home. They are growing fast, Rin said. They are trying to touch the unknown, Zeroth frowned. That is what worries me. Curiosity leads to danger. Rin smiled faintly. Or to discovery. The ship collected more human transmissions. Some were music full of rhythm and soul. Some were news, stories of victory and loss. Some were just voices talking about dreams, love, or loneliness. Each sound was a window into the human heart. Rin spent long hours listening to their songs. One night she said to herself, they sing even when they suffer. Maybe they are not weak at all, but not everyone on the ship agreed. A group of alien officers began to warn Zeroth that humans could one day escape their planet. They build weapons that can destroy worlds, said one. They will bring chaos to the stars, said another. The commander stayed silent, but deep inside he was torn. He had seen both the kindness and the madness of humans. He didn't know which one was stronger. On the 5th day of observation, something strange happened. The ship's energy scanners picked up a signal, a radar beam that came dangerously close to their position. The humans had unknowingly scanned the area near the moon. For a moment, the crew panicked, afraid they had been discovered. Zaroth ordered the ship to shift position into deeper shadow. No human noticed them, but the close call left everyone uneasy. "If they can almost find us now," said Rin, "what will they do when they truly look up?" Zaroth watched Earth one last time before resting. The planet glowed like a jewel. "Beautiful and mysterious," he whispered to himself. "Maybe they will destroy themselves before they reach us." But deep in his mind, a question stayed. What if they didn't destroy themselves? What if they survived everything and kept rising? Rin looked at the same planet and thought the opposite, she whispered. "What if they become something greater than us?" The Virion continued to circle the moon in silence. The aliens kept watching, unaware that the humans, in their own small way, were already reaching for the stars. The observation had begun, but soon it would turn into something far more dangerous. Because to truly understand humans, they would have to meet them. The ship Virion floated in darkness, watching Earth spin slowly under a sea of stars. Weeks had passed since they first discovered the strange blue planet. The crew had recorded thousands of human actions, laughter, wars, love, inventions, and endless emotions, but now, the mission was changing. Commander Zaroth had received an order from the Council of Worlds. It was short and cold. Make contact, observe their reaction, measure their danger. The command echoed through the silent corridors of the ship. For the aliens, contact with a developing race was forbidden. But humans were different. Too unpredictable, too emotional, too curious. Zaroth believed they could one day reach the stars and challenge the balance of the galaxy. So he gathered his officers and said, "We will meet them, but on our terms." Rin stood at the edge of the command deck, her eyes reflecting the blue glow of Earth. She felt uneasy. "Commander, are we sure this is wise?" she asked. Zaroth looked at her, his expression cold and calm. "Wisdom has nothing to do with it. It is necessary." He turned to the crew. "We will choose a small place away from their cities. We cannot risk chaos." The Virion scanners searched the surface until they found a quiet mountain village. Hidden between deep forests and cold rivers, the village was peaceful, almost forgotten by the world. Its lights were few, its people simple. "Perfect," Zaroth said. "No technology strong enough to record us. No global attention." He ordered a small landing craft to prepare. The crew selected 4 members: Zaroth, Rin, and 2 guards, armored and silent. The descent began under the cover of night. The small ship entered Earth's atmosphere. Wrapped in plasma fire, invisible to human radar, Rin watched through the window as clouds burned around them. Below, she saw forests glowing in moonlight, rivers shining like silver veins. Her heart beat faster. This was the first living world she had ever touched outside her own. The ship landed softly in an open field surrounded by trees. The wind blew across the grass, carrying the sound of insects and the smell of Earth. It was strange and alive. The aliens stepped outside, their silver suits glowing faintly. Rin looked up. Stars above, soil below. It felt unreal. Zaroth scanned the area. "No sign of humans yet," he said. "We observe first." But before they could move further, a small light appeared in the distance. A lantern swinging slowly, coming closer. Someone was walking toward them. Rin froze. "Commander!" "It's a human," she whispered. Zaroth raised his weapon, ready for defense. The light grew brighter until they saw him clearly. A young boy, maybe 12 years old. He was wearing a jacket too big for him, and holding a small lamp in his hand. When he saw them, he didn't scream, he didn't run, he just stopped. Tilted his head and said softly, "Are you lost?" The aliens looked at each other in confusion. Rin lowered her weapon slightly. "He is not afraid," she said. The boy took a slow step forward, his voice gentle. "You're not from here, are you?" Zaroth's cold tone replied. "You should not be here." "Human," but the boy smiled a little. "This is my home. You're the visitors." The simplicity of his words caught them all off guard. Rin's sensors beeped quietly, reading the boy's life signs. Heart steady. No fear, no panic. She couldn't understand. Every other intelligent race they had studied reacted with fear or aggression. But this boy only showed curiosity. Rin stepped forward and asked softly, "Why are you not afraid?" The boy looked at the stars above and said, "Because you don't look like monsters. You look like travelers." For a moment no one spoke. Zeroth lowered his weapon but stayed cautious. The boy looked at their ship and asked, "Is that how you travel between stars?" Rin smiled faintly. "Yes, it is." He nodded as if it were the most natural thing. "Then you must be cold. It's chilly at night." He turned and pointed toward the village. "Come, my father has a fire, you can warm yourselves." The aliens stood frozen. Kindness was not what they expected, Zeroth said sharply. "We cannot follow him." But Rin whispered, "Maybe we should. This is our chance to learn." Against his better judgment, Zeroth agreed. "Fine, 10 minutes. No longer." They followed the boy to a small wooden house near the forest edge. Smoke rose from the chimney. The smell of burning wood filled the air. Inside, the boy's father looked surprised but not terrified. He thought they were explorers in strange suits. Without questions, he offered them warmth near the fire. Rin felt the heat on her hands and stared at the flames. It was simple but powerful. Fire, the same force that humans had used since their beginning. She whispered to herself. They tamed the wild to survive. The boy's father poured them water and said, "You must have come a long way." Rin looked at Zeroth, waiting for him to speak. The commander only nodded slightly. "Yes, very far." The man smiled. "Then rest here for a while. Travelers should not wander hungry." His kindness confused the aliens more than any weapon could. When they left the house later that night, the forest was quiet again. Rin turned to Zeroth. "Did you see?" They showed no fear. "No hate." Zeroth said nothing for a while, then replied, "Or maybe they are too simple to understand what we are." But Rin shook her head. "No, Commander, they understood something deeper. That we are alive." "Like them?" The commander didn't respond. But for the first time, his eyes softened. As the Virion rose back toward the sky, the boy watched from below, waving his hand. He didn't know that he had just changed the path of two worlds. And high above, in the dark of space, the aliens began to question everything they believed. The first contact had been made, not through power, not through fear, but through a simple act of kindness. The alien ship Virion returned to its hidden orbit behind the moon. The stars were quiet, but inside the ship, tension had begun to rise like a storm. The mission was no longer about observation. It had become something deeper, something dangerous. Commander Zeroth stood before the Council's holographic projection. Their glowing faces filled the dark room. They had received the first report about Earth, and they were not pleased. "Commander Zeroth," said the High Elder, his voice cold as metal. "You broke protocol by making contact." Zeroth stood firm. "It was a controlled test. No risk to our identity." But the Council ignored his defense. "You were ordered to observe, not to reveal yourself. These humans are unstable, unpredictable, and emotional. They must be neutralized before they spread their chaos beyond their world." The words echoed through the chamber like thunder. Rin, standing behind Zeroth, felt her heart sink. Neutralized, that meant elimination, extinction. Her mind flashed back to the small boy, his gentle smile, the warmth of the fire, the kindness of his father. She wanted to speak, but her voice trembled. "They are not dangerous," she whispered. "They are just different." The Council turned their glowing eyes toward her. "Different," one elder said. "They destroy their own world. They poison their oceans. They build weapons that can erase life. That is not difference. That is threat." Rin stepped forward. "Yes, they destroy, but they also create. They fight, but they also heal. They have something we do not: emotion, courage, love." The elders fell silent for a moment. Then one said coldly, "Emotions are chaos, and chaos spreads." The connection ended, leaving the command deck in silence. Zeroth turned slowly to his crew. "Prepare defense systems and observe their military capabilities. The Council fears war, and so do I." Rin looked at him in disbelief. "You can't be serious. We met them, Commander." "They are not what you think." But Zeroth's eyes were heavy with conflict. "Sometimes mercy leads to destruction." "Rin," he said quietly, "if they rise beyond control, they will destroy more than themselves." Hours turned into days as the ship collected new data. Human broadcasts were full of conflict and wars, protests, politics, fear. Every news headline made the aliens' doubts grow stronger. Zeroth watched the screens, his mind hardening. "See?" he said to his officers. They destroy their own kind without reason. But Rin pointed at other images. People helping each other. Scientists finding cures, children smiling in schools. They destroy, she said softly, but they also rebuild. The argument between logic and emotion divided the crew. Half stood with Rin, believing humans deserved a chance. The other half followed Zeroth, trusting only the Council's cold logic. The ship that once felt calm now carried the weight of fear. That night, the Council sent a second message, more direct, more dangerous. Prepare a preemptive strike, it said. Show them the price of chaos. Zeroth stared at the message for a long time before closing it. He whispered to himself, "They are forcing my hand." Rin overheard him and stepped closer, her voice trembling with emotion. "If you attack them, Commander, you'll become the very thing you fear." He turned sharply. "You don't understand, Rin. I have seen species like them rise before, and every time, it ends in fire. But maybe this time, it ends in hope," she said, her eyes shining. Maybe they are not like the others, her words lingered. But the alarm soon interrupted them. A human rocket was detected. A satellite launch. Heading into orbit, the crew panicked. Thinking it was an attack, Zeroth shouted, "Shields up! Ready weapons." But Rin scanned the data and shouted back, "It's not a weapon. It's a communications satellite." The tension filled the room like heavy air. The humans were not attacking. They were reaching further into the stars. Zeroth lowered his hand slowly, his mind torn between fear and curiosity. "These humans," he whispered. "They don't even know how close they are to war," Rin replied softly. "Or maybe they are closer to peace than you think." But peace did not last long. One of the alien scouts orbiting closer to Earth was detected by human radar. A military alert was triggered on Earth. Jets scrambled. Radars turned and missiles prepared. The humans thought it was an unidentified object, a threat. The aliens thought it was discovery, the end of their secrecy. Within minutes, panic spread through both worlds. Humans aimed their defenses skyward. The aliens activated cloaking shields. The quiet observation had turned into a silent standoff. Rin rushed to the command deck. "Commander, stop, they don't know we exist. They're just protecting themselves." But Zeroth's voice was cold and final. "Fear leads to defense, defense leads to war. It's the same every time." He raised his hand, preparing to give the order to strike. For a moment, the universe held its breath. Then Rin stepped forward and blocked his command panel. Her voice broke as she said, "If you fire on them, you'll destroy everything, not just them, but the hope they give to the stars." The crew watched in silence. Torn between two beliefs, Zeroth's hands trembled slightly, his logic fighting against something deeper. Finally, he whispered, "Stand down." The weapons powered off. The lights dimmed and the silence returned. Rin exhaled, her heart racing. Zeroth walked away from the command chair, staring at the blue planet below. "They make me doubt everything," he said quietly. "And that is the most dangerous thing of all." The crew said nothing, but they all knew. The fight had already begun. Not between humans and aliens, but between fear and understanding. Between logic and heart, the war had not yet started, but its shadow had already reached the stars. The world below had no idea how close it came to disaster. While the alien ship Virion hid behind the moon, humanity continued its life, unaware that eyes from the stars were watching. But the small mistakes, the radar signals, and strange sky readings began to reach the ears of those who listened closely. In secret rooms and government bunkers and hidden labs, whispers began to spread. "Something is up there," a scientist said, "and it's not ours." At first, the world laughed, calling it a satellite glitch or a meteor. But when strange energy waves were detected from the dark side of the moon, laughter turned into fear. Military alerts flashed across screens. The United States, China, Russia, and others raised their space defenses. For the first time in decades, global enemies started talking again. Something had united them, fear on the Virion. Commander Zeroth watched the chaos unfold with cold eyes. "They are already preparing for war," he said. "We haven't fired a single shot." Rin stood beside him, her voice soft. "Because they are afraid, Commander. Fear makes humans act together." Zeroth turned to her, confused. "Together?" Rin nodded. "Yes, fear can divide. But for humans, it also unites. Watch and see." Down on Earth, meetings began between nations that once hated each other. For the first time, leaders shared information without secrets. No one wanted another world war, not this time. They called it Project Sky Shield. Every scientist, engineer, and soldier worked together. They built new sensors, shared telescopes, even launched a special satellite to scan the moon. Not to attack, but to understand what was out there. In the middle of all this, a message leaked to the public. A blurry image of something metallic floating beyond the moon. The internet exploded. Some said it was a spaceship. Others said it was fake. But millions of people began to look at the night sky differently. They felt something strange, not fear, but wonder. On the Virion, the aliens watched human news broadcasts. They saw how fast humans reacted, how quickly they organized. They adapt faster than expected, Zeroth said quietly. Rin smiled. Because they've been fighting the impossible since the beginning. Zeroth looked at her sharply. You admire them too much. Maybe, Rin said. Or maybe I just see the truth. That night, Rin accessed the communication logs. She found old human messages, greetings sent into space decades ago. They were simple recordings, voices of children, scientists, and dreamers. One said, "We are humans from Earth. We send peace and friendship to whoever hears this." Rin replayed the message again and again. It made her feel something warm, a mix of sadness and hope. She whispered, "They reached for the stars, not to conquer but to connect." The next day, Earth's new satellite passed close to the Virion. Its sensors detected faint readings, enough to confirm that something truly alien was there. The discovery was no longer secret. News broke across every country. "We are not alone," the headlines screamed. Some people prayed, some panicked, and some simply stood outside. Staring at the sky, the world held its breath. Rin watched the chaos with mixed feelings. They don't even know what we look like, and still, they are reacting with hope, she said. Zeroth disagreed. Hope will turn to fear soon enough. But Rin looked down at Earth and whispered, or maybe fear will turn to courage. On Earth, something miraculous was happening. Instead of nations preparing for destruction, they began to share resources. Engineers from different countries worked side by side. Artists drew images of peace between stars. Children wrote letters to the visitors, leaving them on rooftops and hillsides. Messages like "Don't hurt us" and "Welcome to our world" appeared everywhere. The human heart was speaking louder than fear. Inside the Virion, the Council's message arrived again. "Commander Zeroth," it said, "the humans have discovered your presence. Prepare for immediate elimination protocol." The order froze the room in silence. Rin's hands shook as she read it. "No," she said, "this cannot happen. They are not attacking. They are trying to understand." But Zeroth's voice was heavy. "Orders are orders," he turned to his crew. "Arm the plasma cores. Prepare for strike." The weapons powered up, humming with deadly energy. But as Zeroth watched Earth on the main screen, something stopped him. The planet glowed beautifully, half covered in light, half in darkness, and in that light, cities shined like stars. He saw people waving at the sky. Holding candles, he saw unity, not chaos. Rin stepped forward, her voice breaking. "Commander, look at them. They are united. Not as countries, but as humans. If you destroy them, you destroy something rare in this universe." The command room fell silent. The crew looked at their leader, waiting. Zeroth's hand hovered over the control panel. Shaking slightly, he closed his eyes, remembering the boy in the mountain village. His smile, his kindness. Finally, he whispered, "Disarm the weapons." The ship powered down. The energy faded. Rin let out a deep breath, tears shining in her eyes. Zeroth turned to her. "They have changed us." "Rin," he said quietly. "I don't know if that's good or bad." She replied, "Maybe it's neither. Maybe it's just the beginning down below." On Earth, people watched the sky. The strange lights near the moon suddenly vanished. No explosion, no war, just silence. Deep, peaceful silence. In that moment, the human race felt something powerful, hope. And far above them, the aliens watched in awe. They had come to measure fear, but instead they had found faith. The world was still uncertain, but for the first time it wasn't afraid. The message that spread across every screen that night was simple. We are not alone, and maybe that's a good thing. The ship Virion floated in silence, hidden in the blackness beyond the moon. Inside, the air was heavy, filled with tension and doubt. For the first time, Commander Zeroth had ignored a direct order from the Galactic Council. And for the first time, he felt uncertain, not about his duty, but about himself. Rin stood by the viewing window. Her eyes fixed on the glowing planet below. She whispered softly, "They didn't attack. They didn't even try, they just looked up and hoped." Her voice carried a quiet sadness, a mix of relief and wonder. Zeroth walked beside her, his step slow, his voice low. "Hope can be a powerful weapon too." Rin smiled faintly. "Then maybe that's what makes them strong." The crew was divided, some proud of Zeroth's decision, others afraid of the consequences. Disobeying the council meant danger, exile, or worse. But none of that mattered now because something else was happening, something unexpected. The ship's sensors began to flash, the alarms pulsing softly through the hulls. An object was approaching Earth, small, fast, and burning bright. "It's a human ship," the navigator said. "An experimental craft, looks damaged." Rin's eyes widened. "They're trying to reach orbit, but their systems are failing." The commander hesitated. "If we help them, the council will know we've interfered." Rin turned to him, her voice trembling. "If we don't, they'll die." A long silence followed. Then Zeroth gave the order, "Prepare a stealth rescue. Keep it off the logs." The Virion moved like a shadow, invisible and silent. Its tractor beam locked onto the small human ship just before it broke apart. Inside were 3 astronauts, unconscious. Oxygen levels dropping, the aliens brought them aboard. Placing them in medical chambers, their breathing stabilized. Their hearts began to beat stronger. For a moment, the entire crew watched in awe. It was the first time they had ever touched humanity. Not from far, but up close. Rin stood beside the human capsule, staring through the glass at the sleeping faces. "They're so fragile," she whispered, "and yet they dared to leave their world." Zeroth nodded slowly. "Courage born from fear, that is their paradox." He leaned closer to the glass, studying their faces. "They look peaceful," he said quietly, almost like children dreaming. Hours passed before one of the humans awoke. A woman, a pilot named Elena Ward. She gasped for air, eyes darting around, panic in her voice. Where am I?" Rin stepped forward and lowered her helmet, revealing her calm alien features. "Do not fear," she said gently. "You are safe." Elena froze, her fear fading into disbelief. You're not human," she whispered. Rin smiled softly. "No, but we're not your enemy." For a while, neither spoke. Then Elena asked, "Why did you save us?" Rin looked at her, then at Earth outside the window. "Because you reached for the stars, and we wanted to see what happens when someone does that." Zeroth entered the room, his tall figure casting a long shadow. He looked at the human calmly and said, "You should not have come this far." Elena stared back, unafraid. "Then why save me?" The commander paused for a long moment, then said, "Because you remind us of what we lost long ago." Those words hung in the air. For the first time, the humans and aliens shared silence. Not fear, but understanding. Rin explained everything she could and about their ship, their mission, the council. Elena listened quietly, her hands gripping the edge of the glass. When Rin finished, Elena said softly, "You came to study us, to see if we were dangerous." Rin nodded. Elena smiled faintly. "And what did you find?" Rin looked into her eyes. "We found that you are dangerous, but not because of hate, because of hope." Later, as the Virion drifted over the Earth's dark side, Rin and Zeroth spoke privately. "She knows too much," Zeroth said. "If the council finds out, they will erase her memory or destroy her." Rin clenched her fists. "Then we'll protect her." The commander stared at her. "You would defy everything we stand for?" She looked back with fierce eyes. "Maybe it's time we stand for something new." That night, Zeroth couldn't sleep. He stood in the observation chamber, looking down at the glowing blue sphere. He remembered all the transmissions they had heard. Laughter, crying, songs, prayers. He thought of the boy in the village, the man who offered them warmth, and now this human woman who looked at him without fear. He realized something. Humans didn't fear the unknown, they reached for it, and in doing so, they made the unknown question itself. Suddenly, a bright flash lit up the edge of space, another signal, this time from the council. "Commander Zeroth," the message said, "your silence is proof of betrayal. Return immediately or face destruction." Rin read it and felt her heart sink. "They're coming," she said quietly. Zeroth looked at her, calm but resolute. "Then they'll have to see what humans truly are." The alarms blared again as massive council warships entered the system. The Virion stood between them and Earth, a single silver shadow protecting a fragile world. Rin turned to Zaroth. "What are we going to do?" He looked at the planet below and whispered, "Tell them the truth." They opened a transmission to the Council fleet. The commander's voice echoed across the stars. "These humans are not what we thought. They destroy, yes. But they also create, they fight, yes, but they also dream. They are chaos and beauty in the same breath. And maybe that is what makes them alive." The Council didn't reply. But silence spread through the channel, the kind of silence that meant doubt. Down below, Elena watched Earth from the alien window. She placed her hand on the glass and whispered, "Maybe they'll finally see us for who we are." Rin smiled faintly. "They will, Elena. They will." And as the Virion floated between two worlds and one of fear and one of hope, the truth was finally clear. Humans were not gods or monsters, they were something far rarer. They were dreamers who refused to stop dreaming. The darkness of space was no longer silent. The Council fleet surrounded Earth like a ring of fire. Dozens of massive alien ships glowed against the black sky, each one carrying weapons powerful enough to erase a planet, and between them all floated the Virion, small and fragile, like a single spark standing against a storm. Inside the command chamber, the crew stood ready. Every screen flashed red warnings, every alarm echoed through the walls. But despite the danger, Rin felt calm. Her eyes were fixed on the blue planet below. Its clouds swirling like paint on a canvas, she whispered, "So beautiful." "And they don't even know they're about to be judged." Commander Zaroth stood beside her, his face lit by the glow of the stars. He had made his choice. Defy the Council, protect humanity. He sent a final message to the fleet, his voice deep and clear. "If you destroy them, you destroy something you do not understand." The Council replied instantly, their voices cold and united. "They are unstable. Commander, they spread chaos. They must be erased before their fire reaches beyond their world." Zaroth clenched his fists. "No, that fire is not destruction, it's life." But the Council did not listen. Their ships began to charge weapons, light gathering at their cores like burning suns. On Earth, no one could see the war above them. But strange lights appeared in the night sky. People looked up from their homes, their cities, their mountains. Some thought it was the end. Others thought it was a miracle, and somehow, across every language and border, humanity did the same thing. They watched together, united. Rin turned to Zaroth, fear and hope mixing in her voice. "If they fire, Earth will be gone in seconds." Zaroth looked at the human astronaut Elena, who stood quietly behind them. She had removed her helmet, her eyes filled with tears. "Let me talk to them," she said, her voice trembling but strong. "They need to hear a human voice." Zaroth hesitated. "They won't understand your language." Rin smiled faintly. "Then they'll understand your tone." Elena stepped forward. Her heart pounding, she looked into the glowing camera and spoke. "This is Earth," she said softly. "We are not perfect. We make mistakes, we fight, we fall, but we also learn, we build, we forgive, we love." Her voice echoed through the universal channel, translated and amplified by the ship systems. "We look at the stars not to conquer, but to belong. We don't want war. We want to grow." The alien council fell silent. No one had ever heard a human speak before. There was no calculation in her voice, no logic, only truth. The elder of the council finally spoke. "You speak of love, but your history is full of violence." Elena's eyes glistened with tears. "Because love is hard, but we try again every time we fail." Her words spread across the comms, reaching every alien ship, every officer for a moment. The stars felt quiet, like the whole universe was listening. Rin whispered, "They're hearing it, Commander. They're feeling it." Zaroth looked at Elena and then at the planet below. Maybe for the first time, he truly believed in her words. Then, something unexpected happened. The energy readings from the human world changed. Not from weapons, not from machines, but from emotion. Billions of humans watching the sky at the same time. Billions of heartbeats. It created a pulse, a wave of energy that no alien sensor had ever seen. It was raw life, pure and powerful, Rin gasped. "It's like the planet itself is alive." Zaroth nodded slowly. "No, it's not the planet, it's them." The energy wave reached the council ships, not to destroy, but to connect. Each alien mind that felt it saw visions, memories from human history. A mother holding her child, a soldier saving a friend, a scientist discovering light. An artist painting hope on walls of war. It was chaos and peace, pain and beauty all at once for the first time. The council felt human emotion and they could not control it. The elders disconnected the weapons, their glowing symbols dimming one by one. One of them finally spoke, voice shaking. "What are they?" Zeroth replied quietly. "They are everything we forgot to be." The council fleet began to retreat, their ships turning slowly, leaving the system in silence. No war, no destruction, only understanding. The Virion remained in orbit, its mission now complete. But its crew no longer looked at Earth as an experiment. They looked at it as something sacred, something alive. Elena stood beside Rin and Zeroth, watching the sunrise over the horizon. The light spread across the Earth like gold, touching oceans and mountains. "It's beautiful," she said. "You saved us," Rin smiled gently. "No, Elena, you saved us," Zeroth nodded. "You reminded us what it means to feel." As the ship turned away, Rin transmitted one final signal toward Earth. It carried no words, only a sound, the echo of a heartbeat. That heartbeat traveled across space, across the stars, a reminder that somewhere out there, humanity had been seen and understood. Years later, on distant alien worlds, humans became a story. Not as monsters, not as invaders, but as dreamers who reached the stars with hearts too big for fear. The story was whispered among civilizations. "They are dangerous," some said. "But not for their weapons. They are dangerous," others replied. "Because they never give up." And somewhere, in the vast sea of space, the legend of Earth began. A small world that dared to feel, to fight, to love, and to dream. A world that reminded the universe what life truly means. Because when the day came that aliens discovered what humans really are, the universe finally remembered how to hope again.